Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota Podcast. My name is Mpho and Tim. I've got Tim Delace here with me. Tim, how are you doing?
I was doing well until the breaking news from Western Province Cricket. I was doing absolutely fine, fine. And then Sir Lake Nicotine stepped down as Western Province head coach. So I'm a little bit fragile. Let's put it that way. I think did a great job.
Tim,
so
we're going to talk about this on Monday. We're going to
unpack
this. We're going to have a counseling session for you. I'm not happy. The sun is out. It is so sunny, but there's no cricket at the Wanderers. There isn't any cricket at the Wanderers. They've actually taken an early tea, so hopefully by the time our viewers listen to this, there'll have been at least a session, 2 or 3 hours of, 2 hours of cricket going on. But yeah, the rain, even though it's not there today, is impacting my life because obviously I want another Lions trophy because that's who we are up here in the north. But anyway, remember, Full Quota Podcast. It's a Thursday podcast, so if you want to know about Thursday podcasts and you're listening on or you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe, because we don't do everything on Mondays. We actually do everything on Mondays, but sometimes we come on a Thursday podcast just to, spicing things up. And normally Thursday podcasts are interviews with players and people in and around the South African cricket game. So please do like and subscribe on YouTube. Please also follow us on X. Tim is the manager of our social media accounts and X accounts, and he likes to put in previews. He likes to put in questions. He likes to let you know of the scoops. Like this scoop, we all knew in the morning. And so we're all just trying to figure out how it was going to work out. And we'll talk about it on Monday. But the only way you can find out is if you follow us on X. We're also on Instagram at the same thing, at Full Quota Pod. And then fundamentally, for the audio listeners, guys who want to listen to us at the gym and all of that stuff, we got one Apple Podcast and Spotify Full Quota Podcast. And finally, to help us move forward and help us grow the pod and give you more content, get you more interviews, and get us to more games, to cover more games. I know Tim covers quite a lot. We don't do this for passion of cricket alone. Please do help us by just buying us some coffee at buymeacoffee.com. Any and all contributions are appreciated. Tim, end of the season means we do interviews to talk to players, to go through what they've been through. And yeah, it's easy because now they've got some time off and they can chat to us. And so, Tim, today, who do we have?
We have somebody who has been in the system since 2008 in the domestic system. Someone who he has experienced both the semi-professional and the professional setup. Somebody who has experienced both divisions, Division 2. Someone who will have a slightly more, shall we say, well-known brother in terms of in the family. But we've got Kelly Smuts, who has earlier this season announced his retirement from the professional game.
Let's bring Kelly on. Kelly, over 6,000 first-class runs, lots of close to 2,000 first-day runs, and now a couple of T20 runs, but I'm assuming you came through. But over 10 years in the Eastern Province and at the Warriors. And then when the provincial system came up, you decided to go to the Badgers and go see the world that side. And so, an illustrious career, and congratulations on that. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, pleasure to be here. I think by the sounds of it, you know my stats a bit better than me.
So I think the thing is with, and I think we need to get better with, recording stats, because there's games everywhere, and sometimes they don't make it onto. Everyone uses Cricinfo or Cricket Archive, and sometimes some games don't make it on. So I was going to ask if you had a tally, but I'm assuming you do not.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I suppose I kind of have like a rough tally in my head. Like actually in my last few games, when I obviously knew I was going to call it, I was like, just actually more counted the games of professional cricket I played. So obviously just tallied up all 3 formats, and I was like, geez, it's actually a lot of games, you know. But then again, I've been playing for 15 years, so it does add up.
Yeah. No, so the first thing we always ask our guests is how they got into the game of cricket. Obviously, we know you've got a brother who plays the game, but how did you, what was your first inkling into the game, and how did you then realize that this could be something I could do long term?
Yeah, like you said, I've got a more famous older brother. But yeah, I mean, my parents were sporty as well. Not in a professional sense, but like diehard club sports people, big tennis people. My mother actually still plays like vets tennis. Yeah, so we were just a sporting family. I mean, it was always sports every day of the week, growing up. So yeah, I mean, whenever I first picked up a bat, I don't know, when I was 3, 4, 5, I don't know, can't remember the exact sort of starting age. But yeah, obviously, I mean, junior school was I just loved playing sport. Is kind of what I knew. It was the fun aspect of school. I think for any, especially. But actually, funny enough, because growing up, sort of cricket and tennis were my 2 sports. I can say my 2 main sports. I played hockey as well, but those were my 2 main sports. And probably up until about 15 years of age, I actually always wanted to follow the professional tennis route. Actually, I loved watching Pete Sampras at Wimbledon, and that was actually my dream when I was 14. Now I want to go play at Wimbledon, and I always kind of pictured.
Did you have the white Nike shorts?
I possibly did. I don't know, but I was just.
I did. I did. I wanted to be Pistol Pete.
I mean, he got it. I mean, he was a legend of the game, Pistol Pete. And what I always wanted to do was just serve and volley and just dive around the net. Even though it's on a hard court, it's not really the wisest thing to do, but that is a dream. And I'd say actually that probably when. Because I was decent at tennis, but I was doing a lot better at cricket, sort of at school and stuff like that. And probably when I was about maybe 15, 16 years of age, and when I actually started playing first team cricket with my brother. So we're obviously 2 years apart, so we always kind of missed each other playing in the same team in school until we got to first team in high school. And I don't know, that for whatever reason it was, but I just think playing in the same side as my brother, I think that kind of sort of flipped something for me. And I think he often told me, he's like, hey, you're way better at cricket than you are at tennis. You're going to go for cricket. And I think maybe that is because, I mean, my brother and I are quite opposite. He's always been very focused, very, very driven, very kind of analytical mind. And I was always a more relaxed brother. He would always go on a train, practice on, and I'd be like, no, let's just take an afternoon off, And so just playing in the same team as him, I think just kind of actually appreciating his sort of drive and his focus, I think that it must have just flicked something for me. And then it sort of became something okay, maybe I want to play professional cricket. But actually probably only until I went to my first Coke Week, I would say, and sort of did nicely there. And then I was in sort of SN19 training camps. And then I was like, this actually could be a thing, because before that, it's always just a dream. You never know how good you are. So until you actually, you go to a national week and you play against 1 or 2 other guys who are there as well, and in the SN19 setup, and you measure yourselves against them, and you realize, hey, I'm actually not as far away as I think. Yeah, I actually could be doing this one day. So that's where it started for me, in terms of the realization that the dream was possible, should I say. Yeah, probably sort of somewhere along in high school and going to my first Coke Week.
Awesome.
That sort of partial answers one of my questions was, do you think having that brother with that drive not necessarily helped you, as you pointed out, but when you had already made it, when you were a professional cricketer, you still had that, from what your brother told you, that don't let this slide. You're now in the system. You're now a professional cricketer. Let's knuckle down. I don't want this to be, 2 seasons and then go and do something else. Do you think having a brother that had that drive helped you later on in your career?
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. I think in any circumstance it would, but I think especially with my brother being sort of the focus-driven guy, and I was kind of more relaxed, just coming in. Oh, let's give this a shot, see what happens. Where him being really focused definitely helped, and just I think sort of like when you're coming in and starting your professional career, you don't know anything in terms of the professional game, and so just I think bouncing, I had 2 years experience on me in that climate, was very helpful. And then just even throughout my career, I mean, we practiced with all the time growing up, so he knows, I still say no, even though I'm retired, but like he knows my game. I speak about that, my game, as if I'm still playing, but he knows my game better than anyone, and I probably know his game better than anyone just because of we've seen it all. We know the intricacies of our technique and sort of when something looks a little bit off or anything, so he's been like, it's just been invaluable having him throughout my whole career.
No, that's really good, and to an extent, obviously, it's a little bit easier for you because you got someone who's in your age range who's paving the way. But from outside of your brother, from a cricket mentoring perspective, who are the people that you look to and helped you get there along the way? Obviously, you being better at cricket than tennis was obviously not by chance. Obviously, there were people in the way helping you along and getting you there.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be my dad. I mean, my dad, we'd basically it would be school sport in the week, Friday afternoon, after work, basically 4:30, we'd be in the nets. My dad would be throwing balls to my brother and I. We'd have games Saturday. Sunday morning, we'd be in the nets again practicing, So, like, the amount of work that he put into my brother and I was just unbelievable, We're, like, really grateful that he put that amount of work into us, and through that actually just instilled the good work ethic as well. But just having that investment from an early age, was of huge benefit. Even though he, as I said, like he didn't play professional sport or anything, he was a club cricketer, a decent club cricketer, I believe. Obviously played long before I sort of was around. But just having those, instilling the basics, and just like the cricket fundamentals, like just the basic sort of cricket IQ, which I mean, I talk to young guys all the time. Like it just seems like it's lost a little bit nowadays. You of understanding like field angles, if the wicket's a quick wicket or a slow wicket, where you should be in a certain position. And I often see guys almost coming through, like youngsters coming through club cricket, and you almost see them and you're like, where are you standing? Like, don't you understand that for this guy, you should be there, So the fact that I got that when I was young, like very grateful for that. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Give us a flavor of what the landscape was, because a lot of people won't have known, people that are younger than us, a landscape of the domestic structure when you arrived, when you made your debut, and how it is now in terms of obviously the different structures. But give us a flavor of just how challenging or not, or what was the picture when you arrived in as a first-class cricketer?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite different, as you say, from 2008 to now. It wasn't 2008, it was 2009, forgive me. But yeah, so quite different. Obviously, you had the amateur, semi-pro structure, whatever you wanted to call it, and the franchise structure. And so obviously started in the amateur ranks for the Eastern Province side. And I was lucky enough that my first season was the first year that they moved to 13 games. So you actually played everyone. Before that, they just used to have like a coastal pool and an inland pool. So you'd only, like as an amateur cricketer, you only play 6 games. Well, 6 3-days and 650 over games, and looking back, and that's kind of where I'm at now. And I think that's sort of one of the main challenges, I think, for all players now is just the amount of games we play is not enough guys to really be accelerating their growth. I think obviously you're always going to grow by playing, but if you play more, you're just going to accelerate that growth, because that's where you learn out in the middle. I mean, you want in the nets, but you learn out there while you're actually doing it and you're having to perform under pressure. But yeah, going back to your question, so it was. So I was very lucky to play every game that season. That was really cool. I think the main thing for me is, I think the difference in that structure and the structure as it is now is, I think there's been a lot of loss of experience. A lot of your older players aren't playing anymore, or like the average age of teams is a lot younger, whatever the reason might be for that. But I think for me, I think that's a massive difference between the two, and a bit of a worry as well, if you ask me. I mean, when I started in the EP side, we basically had almost like I won't say half a Warriors team in the EP side, but we had like 3-4 Warriors players, and we played against Gauteng, and they probably had like 5 Lions players in their team. I mean, so and going back to the point I was making, I think in our team I was 19. I think we had 2 19-year-olds, a 21-year-old, and then everyone else was basically 25 and older. And I think we had like 2 guys who were 30. So like you had a lot more experience in your teams in general. And the opposition, I think you're probably going to laugh when I tell you this. It was, so Stephen Cook played. He opened with Cookie opened with Jean Sams. 3 was Grant McQuena, 4 was Vaughan van Jaarsveld, 5 was Dane Villa, 6 was Temba Bavuma, and Temba was making his debut in that team. So, like, crazy. I mean, like, then you had Richard Cabron, Shane Berger, 7 and 8, Pumi Machikwe, like Aaron Pengiso, like serious experienced players, playing in the amateur ranks. So a really good standard of cricket. And then, I mean, you went up into if you got a gig in the franchise team, I remember distinctly that season. I didn't play any franchise cricket that season, played only for the EP side, played my franchise debuts the next season. But I always remember walking onto the field and feeling like I'm playing against men, yeah. and I get that I was only 20, 19, 20 years old. So obviously you are going to feel that. But I felt like, everyone else is like 10 years older than me. Yeah, I was almost aware of that. I was a youngster. Where I look at a lot of teams now, obviously more so in Division 2, even in Division 1. Like I look at it, and it's almost the opposite. Like now in the Badger side, it was myself and Thomas Carber over 30, and our captain Yasin Valley, who's I think he's turning 30 next year. So, but then everyone else is like 22 or under, so it's a very different landscape. And you look at all the Division 2 sides, so that loss of experience, I think, it's a big loss. Trying to put it any other way, so yeah, I think that's been like a challenge as obviously with the less games as well.
Yeah, look, I think the less games is a challenge that CSA is trying to figure out, and obviously from a monetary perspective it makes sense for them. Obviously it doesn't make sense for the players. I think the question for me leading off of that is obviously when the provincial system started, right, you made a move down to the badges, the Garden Route badges, also formerly known as Southwestern Districts, and you had been at NEP for 10 plus years. How has that changed for you, moving from a place that you've known to the badges? Which
so yeah, like you said, I was if I can say an EP boy, at heart, played there for 10 plus years or 9-10 years. Obviously I moved, so it was the last season of the old structure. which was the COVID season. If we can, I think everyone knows that when we talk about the COVID season, we all know which season we're talking about. So I moved that season because obviously knew it was going to be the last season of the old structure. And in my opinion, I was just an EP player. I wasn't playing for the Warriors. I wasn't on a Warriors contract. I was like, when this restructure happens, I'm probably not going to get a contract here for all the Warriors guys will stay, So I was like, okay, well, let me move now and kind of settle in and then I'm there, and then hopefully I'm part of that, new structure. That was the thought process anyway. So I moved down, and that was the COVID season. So it wasn't really much of the season. We played in a bubble and we played 2 3-day games and 3 1-day games. And so it wasn't really much of a season. So to answer your question of how was that change, I can't really give a fair answer because I think I was only in Oudtshoorn for about 2 months, basically. And then we were Stellenbosch for 3 weeks for our bubble, and then that was it. So didn't really have time to experience much of a change or anything like that. And then I didn't make the cut when the restructure happened. So I've only experienced it now being back there in the last 2 years.
Yeah, and obviously you were at Northern Cape for a while, and that was a interesting time because we thought that team would get promoted for the first 2 seasons or after the 2 years, and then the 2 chances of promotion. And I think for us, my question is, what do you think was one of the reasons why that Northern Cape side didn't necessarily make it?
Yeah, man. So I was actually only there for a season. So Charlie, Mark Charlton got me in the second year of that first 2-year promotion relegation, and they obviously had done really well the previous season. What I think is 4-day trophy and runners up in the 50 over comp. And obviously on the back of that, they lost a few players, but I think the players that they got in, obviously one being myself, but I think we're pretty good. I mean, Grant Thompson came in, also a really good player. We really should have got promoted. The first time of promotion, we really should have. We let ourselves down in the 50 over comp. Like I said, we won the 4-day comp again. We let ourselves down in that 50 over comp, and I think we were also we probably had maybe one really bad game. There was a bad loss to the Tuskers. Obviously, went on and won, but I think that hurt our net run rate quite a bit. And then we had a game against the Badgers rained off, So, and they were quite depleted at that stage. They were missing a lot of players. So unfortunately, that is tough on us because I think if we got a win there, I mean, I'm speaking under correction here, but I think that possibly would have got us into 3rd place, which would have meant we would have got promoted. But instead, we ended 4th and missed out. So I want to blame the rain, but also know we didn't play our best cricket in that 50 over comp.
Yeah, there are a lot of teams that are blaming the rain right now.
We actually did a podcast prior to, I think it was midway through that tournament. We said Northern Cape are through. They're going to be promoted. They're going to go through. They're the champions. They deserve to go on top.
Yeah.
So obviously that was a huge blow. But your numbers, since you've gone into the restructure, your numbers are exceptional. So you are 599 runs at 42 in the 4-day competition, and 946 runs at 37. No, sorry, so we're right. 946 at 37 in the 4-day series, 599 at 42 in the 1-day competition. Give us a flavour of the pressures of playing in Division 2. We know about the lack of exposure. We know about it's not on television, but just the general day-to-day stuff and the difference between playing within that structure and the challenge that it is at the moment.
Yeah, I think the challenge. I mean, we talk about it all the time at the Badgers. I think the real challenge for Division 2 is, I think conditions are so far different from Division 1. And when I say that, I think I'm talking about practice facilities and obviously the quality of the pitches that we play our games on as well. If I can say discrepancy between that quality all around Division 2 and obviously what you get in Division 1. And I think a lot of that almost a bad picture in Division 2 cricket, because you often maybe look at it in one-day cricket and you're like, yes, team gets 200 and they're winning by 30 runs. They're bowling a team out for 130 on a fresh wicket. You know what I mean? Like, that shouldn't be happening. And I agree it shouldn't be happening. But I think it gives the impression that the standard's not good. And for me, like, the quality is low just purely based on the conditions that we play in generally. I mean, if you go back to not this past season, the season before that, when we started with 50 over cricket, and I felt the wickets all around Division 2, because it was start of the season, so they hadn't been overused or anything. They were still fresh. The scores were a lot higher. I mean, at the Badgers in Oudtshoorn, I mean, our wickets were first game of the season. Knights got 320. We got bowled out for 300. And we stuffed that one up as well. But let's not go back to that. We should have won that. But anyway, and then our last one-day game of that season, we got like 330, 340 against the Heat, and they got 310. You know, so the wickets were good then. And I think if you looked at scores, then you'd say, jeepers, the quality of cricket in Division 2 is really good. But then this season, it's kind of obviously gone the other way around. Yes, I get it, because we're playing at the end of the season. Wickets are a bit more worn and stuff like that. So that doesn't paint a good picture. But I still think there are a lot of good cricketers in Division 2, you know. And I think if you put them in Div 1 and you sort of gave them proper training facilities, like to train on and stuff like that, they would fit in. They wouldn't look out of depth in Division 1. I think so. That's a big challenge. I think the biggest challenge for me, obviously, we've spoken about the lack of games. There's not really much more in Division 1 either. But yeah, just the facilities in terms of practice and match facilities in Division 2 are a struggle. You obviously have some grounds that are really good as well. You know, East London good, Pietermaritzburg generally good, Benoni generally good, but a lot of your smaller unions we struggle, especially at the Badgers. You know, we had our ladies team playing there as well, and you know, so we're sharing the practice facilities and the middle, you know, and I think our middle's only got 5 strips. I think max 6, but I think only 5. So you do that throughout a season, like, it's tough. It's tough to sort of get a good wicket every week. It's just not going to happen, unfortunately. And I think you look at all the Limpopo also, they don't have a lot of strips, so like your wicket is going to wear. Same with, you know, rhinos and the like, you know. So I think that's the biggest challenge for me, you know, is that it's almost tough to train because facilities aren't as good, and then it's also it goes sort of into the match as well.
Yeah. I just before you come in, Mpho, I'm just going to say I tend to agree. And it's also actually a problem in Division 1. Division 1 pitches, not just Division 2, they're tired. A lot of those wickets need to be relayed. Obviously, they're talking about drop-ins now, which would improve things, but it's definitely having an impact on the games. Definitely, the fact that wickets are as slow as they are, it certainly is a challenge.
Yeah, no, it's dog eat dog world. And yeah, like I think our pitches aren't, well, the main pitches in Division 1 aren't helped with SA20 adding more wear on them. But yeah, and to a certain extent, that's what we saw at the back end of the season, right? Just the scores just becoming a lot lower and just becoming, yeah, quite a tough place to be. Kelly, obviously moving forward to this last season, when did you know this was it? Did you know at the beginning of the season? Did you wake up one morning and say, you know what, I'm done being a professional?
Yeah, yeah. So I sort of I decided at the start of the season that it was going to be my last. I didn't announce it then because I don't know, I'm just not the type of guy. I don't want the whole season basically to be about me because it's my last season. I'm that, and I don't I don't want that kind of limelight. Yeah, so I decided at the start of the season. I think just off the back of the previous season, I think we put a lot of effort to have a good season with the Badgers, which I had a decent season. I wouldn't say it was amazing, but it wasn't bad either. But we just kind of fizzled out in the second half. And you know, before that, obviously, I was up at the Heat as well, and just being away from the family, you know, for two years in a row, and then this year was the third year. It just became quite tough. I've got 3 kids for those people who don't know, and the oldest is, I mean, she turns 7 this year, and then the youngest 2. You know, so it just became quite tough, you know, being away from them. And we obviously we actually in the winter, last year we went over to England. I played some club cricket there, but the family went with, which was really cool. We had a fantastic time, and I think just also especially just being together for those 4.5 months, whatever it was, having a great time, basically a great adventure in England, in London, in the Surrey League. You know, that was, I think, just kind of put my mind at ease, almost just knowing in my heart, like, you know what, I think it's time to be back with the family now. I haven't retired because I feel like I'm past it or anything like that. I feel like I still had probably another 2 good years in me from a physical aspect. But I knew my heart probably wasn't fully in it anymore. You know, my heart wanted to be at home with my wife and my kids, sort of help raise them and watch them grow up, because I'd missed so much of the last 3 years.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
When you look back at your career now, what would you say are your top sort of 2 or 3 proudest moments of your cricketing career?
Top moments of my cricketing career. Well, there's definitely one that sticks out. I know everyone likes to say, "Oh, all the trophy, you know, the team trophies," which are great. I'm like, those are fantastic. So like, I'll start with one. Like, I won the Africa Cup. Well, I say I don't mean I won it by myself, but won it with the EP side. My brother was captain, so that was quite cool. Won a trophy with my brother. That was really cool.
I remember those tournaments. Wow.
Yeah. The Africa Cup. I think that I think that was 2016 or somewhere
yes, around that time.
You know, so that was very cool. I think 100 on 4-day debut for the Warriors was cool. And 50 on T20 debut for the Warriors was cool as well. But yeah, the proudest one would definitely be, and I don't know, like, I don't know if everyone knows it, but I've got some sort of world record for collective performance in a first class game. So that was in February 2016, if I'm not mistaken, Eastern Province against Boland in Paarl. I scored 100 and I took 13 wickets in the game.
Sure.
And in the second inning, so we bowled first, and I took 6 for, then I got 100, and then I took 7 for second innings, and in that 7th for I got 4 wickets in 4 balls as well. So that is, definitely in terms of like personal achievement, like proudest moment of my career. 100.
Awesome.
Well, that's really, really cool. Wow. Okay, that's something we didn't know. So that's awesome. We like that. Looking, obviously, your career's was for 15 years. What would you tell a youngster coming into the cricket, the domestic setup in South Africa, and what's the one thing you wished you would have known then that you do know now?
That I knew then that.
No, that you know now that you wish you knew then.
Yeah, sorry, that I didn't know then that I know now.
Yeah.
Well, I think actually I've had sort of one or two actually youngsters at the badges ask me sort of, what have I learned? Like, what's sort of the best advice I would give to a young guy? And for me, it would be like be prepared to work hard for many years for an opportunity. I think there's this, should I say, mindset or perception? Sorry, it's a better word. Perception that I kind of must have one good season and then I go to the next level, or I just need to put in like one good innings and I'll get an opportunity at the next, And for some guys do get that chance and then take it and go through. Like, but I look at them like, but those are your guys who are like, we can say, call them the freaks, the guys who are freakishly good. Like KG basically missed amateur cricket and went straight from schoolboy S19 into the Lions, and
didn't even play for the Lions that long.
In cricket for the Lions straight away, and then into international cricket and smoked at international cricket, and still is doing that, But that's like not how it works for the normal professional sportsman. You got to be prepared to graft for many years. Be resilient, be like persevering, keep going, even though like you have a good season and you maybe don't get the recognition or the sort of next level opportunity that you think you deserve. Go out and do it again, and like don't be in a rush. Just keep doing it, game after game, season after season. Eventually, like you probably are going to get an opportunity at the next level, and that's the key thing for me is you got to be resilient, because I think I also look at guys who maybe have been pushed too quickly, because it was like, oh, they maybe see this guy's really talented, and they push him, and I look at a few guys and yes, it's knocked their careers by a year or two. They've been pushed and like backed really early when they weren't quite ready for it, and then they've almost been put at a level which they weren't ready for, not just from a physical aspect, but actually mentally as well. I think people like easy to look over that. I think guys just look at how he plays, and you're like, oh, he's got all the shots. He can play at the next level, but like you gotta forget that. But is he mentally sort of strong enough, ready for that step up? And I think that's what knocks a few guys. And you look at then they come back down. And then they almost can't perform at that level because they've actually been pushed so early. They've been hurt mentally, and it's very easy to look past that. And it's taken then the guy 4 years to get back to the level above where it should have. He should have come back for a year and then been back up. Like, so I've seen that happen with a few guys, and like I feel sorry for them actually to be pushed so soon. In one way, yeah, cool, it's great. You got the opportunity early, but it probably would have been better if you didn't get it so early and you got it 2 years later, because then you would have stayed there, and you wouldn't have had to come back down and yo-yo between the two levels.
Oh, that's actually sound advice.
Yeah, good. Second last one from me, I think. When you look at the different structures, you look at the current system. What would you do if you were allowed to make a couple of changes? What do you think needs to happen for the system to improve, to make sure that we don't miss out on young talent coming through the system?
Well, I mean, we've said it 2 or 3 times already, but it's got to be more games. I think and I know that's easy to say, and I know that's obviously going to cost a lot more money, but you're asking a hypothetical question, so I'm just going to assume we got loads of money to go with. Yeah, so it's got to be more games, because like it's like almost for many reasons, obviously, if you look at your starting 11, currently. Okay, well, they only play 6 4-day games. Okay, so cool. That they need more games, 100%. But it also goes down to what I look at. When you only play 6, there's a good chance you're probably only going to use 11 or 12 players because you're not often playing maybe back to back. And even if you are, you probably play back to back once, and it's fine for you to play. You don't really need a rest. Obviously, if you're playing 3 weeks in a row, you'd probably need to rest someone, you know. So you're only using 11 to 12. It's not really testing your depth. You're not really giving player 13, 14 who have been contracted in Division 1. You've got, 16 contracts, then plus all your HP players. You're looking at 20 guys. You potentially might only have 13, 14 oaks playing, and you get 6 oaks who just don't play any cricket. And then also in Division 2, you got the 11 contracts and maybe 4 or 5 HP players who might not play a game because you're playing so few games. And then also another point, I remember saying to guys, you know, when it was so nice when I started and we played 13 matches. So let's say, for instance, you could almost, this is maybe a bad way to look at it, but like if you were a batter and you got 3 games and you didn't score any runs and you got dropped, you could still work hard to get back in the team because you're like, well, there's still 10 games in the season.
Yeah.
I can get myself back into the side. Whereas if you get 3 games now and you get dropped because maybe you didn't score any runs, that's you done for that competition because the guy who's replacing you should only probably get 2 to 3 games as well, you know? So there's almost, what's the incentive then for almost you to be, okay, well, I'm not really going to get back in. So that's not a good thing for me. And yes, I know players might argue and say, no, they still work hard. And cool, I'm not saying they don't. But that's, I think, a worrying. I think it allows you to probably play with a bit more freedom if you know there's 13 games. So I'm going to play with some freedom. Oh, it might not happen for 3 games I get dropped. Cool. Let's go do some work. We come back maybe second half of the season, we could possibly catch another 3-4 games, you know? Whereas it's a lot harder to do that now, especially as a younger player coming through, maybe he's making their debut and you're thinking, I've got to try to cement my spot here. Maybe, like, ideally I'd want to play with a bit more freedom, but yes, I might only have 2 games because I know my teammates, you know, he's carrying drinks and he's going to be in if I don't get runs, you know? So it's really tough from that perspective. So I'll go 100% more games. That'd be a key thing. And yeah, I think it would be nice, I think, in Division 2 if there was just more allowance to fly. that comes across as a joke, but I just look at it like, I think it's really tough on Division 2 teams. You know, we spend a lot of time on the road, and that is tough. I think I know some people are going to be like, oh, you know, whatever. But like, I look at them like, if you're at the Warriors and you go play against the Titans, like, you just hop on a flight. You from the airport to your hotel is probably 30-minute drive. Like, so hour-and-a-half flight, 30-minute drive. You know, you're there. Whereas, like, we go, like, in cool, we go play in Limpopo, and cool, we have a little 40-minute drive to the George airport. Then it's a hour-and-a-half flight up to Joburg, and then it's like 3.5 hour drive. You know, that's quite tough. You know, it's your travel days are then, like, you don't actually recover on those travel days. So it's when you're playing, like, we especially went in our one-day campaign now. We drove up to Kimberley, played. We drove from Kimberley to Pretoria to play the emerging side at Tuks. And then we drove from there to Maritzburg, you know. So and that was, I think, what is that, like Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, or something like that, you know. So, and that's tough, you know, when it's you basically spend the whole day on the road, you know, and that's really, really difficult. And I think people don't really see that, you know, and that is it's a massive factor. In performance, you know, it's definitely going to affect your performance if you can't recover properly.
Yeah, no, I actually didn't. So
yeah, I say it in jest,
but
there is some seriousness behind it.
No.
Yeah, look, and I think we didn't even consider that, right? We assumed that, you know, everyone gets similar travel across the both divisions. I didn't think they would make you drive to White River even from Johannesburg. It's wild to think about it. And it's not.
You
It's
guys
not
still there? I don't know if I'm frozen out here or not.
Kelly, you're still with us. If
You're
you
still
can,
with us.
Okay.
yeah, there's a bit of a lag. Yeah. But yeah, wow, oh, that's a revelation.
I can't hear Mpho if he is asking something.
Okay. Kelly, can you hear me now?
No. Shall I ask the question, Paul?
Sure, Tim. Just close it out.
Okay.
Wait. He's back. Let's just let it go.
Sorry.
Cool. Yeah, we'll just work with the lag. Kelly, last question from me. Your Badgers team. I don't want to call them Southwestern. They've rebranded. Your Badgers team. I look at that team, and there are quite a few really, really good players in there. And most of the seasons and most of the competitions, you're quite competitive in that. And obviously, there's quite a few youngsters who we're looking at who came from SL19 and all of that. But yeah, what are you seeing in that Badgers team? Because I think there's a lot of potential for them to contend next year. But yeah, like a few words on the team that you're leaving behind.
Yeah, I think you sort of mentioned it there. It's quite a young, exciting team. Very, very young side. But yeah, exciting side. There's a lot of good youngsters there, sort of coming through. Obviously, I think key guy, George Van Heerden coming through, had a really good season. Luke Beaufort as well. Peko Moletsani, having a really good season with the ball and showing some good innings with the bat as well. So he's starting to put it together, which is really great to see. I like Carl Jacobs as well, sort of not as young in terms of age, but he was a guy who sort of came through a little bit later, sort of obviously also a PE guy, also originally, from
yes.
from here. So there were quite a few of us there at the Badgers. But also coming through, getting his maiden first class 100 there this season, so guys are showing that potential, definitely. So it's a young side, and as you say, like we were there and thereabouts basically in every comp, and we just kind of would let ourselves down in pretty much in one game here and there. We had when it came down to it, we'd a crunch game, we generally would have a really bad game, and so we'd let ourselves down in that aspect. But yeah, like I said, a very young, exciting group of players. Will be really cool to see what they do next season. Or I should say, it'll be really interesting to see who's there as well, because I think some guys have done well that I'm sure have got some interest from Div 1, So we'll see sort of what it's like. But if it's a sort of similar group of players, yeah, I think there'll be an exciting brand of cricket. I do think whoever they sign, I do think they probably need some experience. Obviously, I left a hole in that regard, just having another experienced player, maybe even two, getting into experienced players. I think that'll be key to just kind of help those youngsters along. And yeah, as well as from a coaching perspective, not sure who the coach will be either. So yeah, so there's going to be a few changes, I suspect. But whoever comes in, I do think it'll be an exciting brand of cricket coming from that Badger side.
That's good to know. And to a certain extent, I think that's the sentiment Tim and I always had every week looking at Div 2. And the Badgers were just always in their games and just not just getting over the line in some. And obviously you had some really strong sides who have the experience to speak of, managing to always be at the top. And But yeah, I like Division 2. I think the promotion relegation works. It adds some context to it. But like you said before, just games and games and games. We need cricket, even in periods where they've sold the window. Just let Div 2 play. I don't mind if Div 2 has many more games than Div 1, because then it would give youngsters the opportunity to hone their cricket, and it's an incentive for someone to say, I'm a youngster at the Titans, I'm a youngster at the Lions, I'm not going to get a lot of game time, but in Div 2 they play double the games in Div 1 than in Div 1. Then it would make our lives, it would give that incentive, right? And it would send more eyes to Division 2.
Yeah, no, 100%. I fully agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tim?
dude. So what's the future? What's the future for Kelly now that he's officially retired as a professional cricketer? What's on the list?
Yeah. So right now, I suppose you could say I'm currently unemployed, even for another month or two. But yeah, no, look, I definitely want to go into coaching. That's where my heart is. So I have I've applied for one or two heads of cricket positions at schools. So I'm hoping there's some positive outcomes in that regard, because yeah, that's where my heart's at. I want to be in coaching. Wasn't always that way. Probably for the first 7 years of my career, I was like, no chance. When I'm done playing, I'm not coaching. Like, no ways. But that's probably actually most young guys. I think you're so focused on sort of your career that so you own yourself as a player, which is, there's absolutely nothing wrong with. I think you should be focused in that regard. But yeah, just as I got older, like, probably just had to do a little bit of coaching overseas. You know, when you go to club cricket, you must take sort of a night of coaching a week. Did a bit of one-on-one stuff when I was back in South Africa, and it just kind of grew from there. And I think that's probably only helped in the last sort of few years of my career, just to sort of having that sort of coach's mind as well, to sort of see things in my own game, but also like see things in other guys' games that I can maybe help them with, but then also maybe see something in someone else's game and be like, oh, that actually is pretty good. Maybe I can use that if I'm struggling, you know. So I think that definitely helped me in my last few years. But yeah, just going back to it, my heart's in coaching, so that is what I would like to do. If that doesn't materialize straight away, you know, probably something in the business field. I do have a business management degree, so I might have to put that to use. But hopefully not too soon. I would really like to be in coaching.
Okay. Kelly. Yes, Tim?
No, I was just going to say, I'm glad. I hope you do stay in the game. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Look, a mind like yours, it would be lost to South African cricket if you decided to take up that business management degree. But I'm not going to count your money for you, Kelly. If you want to go make money, go make money. But I think this has been a great interview. I think it's probably one of the longest interviews we've ever done with a player or a coach. So that also kind of tells of the person you are. And whatever you choose to do, Kelly, wish you all the best. And we look forward to seeing you in the cricketing streets, obviously in a new role. And yes, but congratulations on a great career. I think, or the one thing that people don't appreciate, and you spoke about it earlier in terms of the microwave nature of how we look at professional sports, in terms of if a guy has one great season, they go away. But it's that patience, that ability to grind out innings and to put up a career and take it for as long as you did. And I think the fact that you were able to do it for over close to 15 years and over that is a testament to the person you are. And you say that you're not as focused as your brother, but this required a lot of focus, because a lot of people probably would have walked away a lot sooner than you did. But I think the passion for cricket runs deep, and we can see it, and we love it. And yeah, all the best, and thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. I've had a great time, so thanks for having me on the pod.
Sure. Thank you very much, Kelly.
Welcome.
Have a nice day. And
cheers,
yeah,
guys.
all the best. Cheers, man. Bye. Tim, wow, really, really great interview there, and yeah, really enjoyed that. I think, yeah, look, Southwestern Districts, if need someone to help the badges, he would be really, really
Yes.
good to come back as not as a okay, but in some shape or form. But
Yeah.
yeah, look, yeah, that was good, Tim. Yeah. After that, if you like that and you like the interview, please like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on the socials, on Twitter at Full Quarter Pod and everywhere else, because that's what we bring. Really, really great, awesome interviews, and I really enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoyed that too. Tim, we'll be back on Monday discussing Timber's injury, discussing Salik Nakadin going away, resigning, not going away. He got a better job. Yes, we'll talk about that thing. I just don't want to get myself in trouble here. And we're going to talk about the 4-day series final. There's 5 days. So, yes, we've lost a day. But last time, Delano Potgieter made sure that it was done in quick time. So, hoping for that and hoping to come back with another trophy on Monday to you, Tim. But, yeah, we'll be back on Monday, Tim. What are you looking forward to watching? This is the last weekend of proper cricket. What are you going to be doing? Or have you already moved over to county?
I've moved over to county. This will I will once they start play, I will switch over. But my focus at the moment is on the county scene.
Okay.
I need my boy Peters to be scoring runs before the final.
With Timber's elbow and us being on elbow watch, we're gonna need Peters to do something for us.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Carlos there as well. So Carlos gonna score runs as well, just to cement his place. So yeah, that's my focus. Just to add quickly, we are in the pipeline of having another interview in a couple of weeks. So just keep an eye out, subscribe, like, and share, and you'll find out soon enough when that interview has been confirmed.
Okay, awesome. I'm excited. I don't even know who it is. He knows, but I don't. But I'm excited. So that's the feeling, right? X, YouTube, follow us, and do the things. You know what those things are. Outside of that, thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you on Monday. We're recapping the 4-day series final, and hopefully we have the Lions winning. But if they don't, I'll still come here and talk about the Titans as champions. But anyway, it's from myself and Tim. It's goodbye and lesale kakahiso.